Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today we are finally going to be looking at that beautiful little Zenith Chronomaster Moonphase that my good friend Sam has sent in. Thank you very much to Sam again for making this video possible. Oh my god, it's going to break my heart sending that one home. It is absolute pure class. But anyway, before we get into this, got to do a quick wristwatch check, and I'm actually keeping it very simple today. This is my little vintage Timex, the most affordable automatic with manual wind I've ever bought. In fact, I have reviewed this. I shot it yesterday. The review should be up in the next, over this week. Anyway, so stay tuned for that. 30 bucks. It has more class than some watches that cost, you know, into the thousands. It really does. Anyway, so that's wristwatch check. Now, before we get into the review, I just want to point out a few things. Now, the Chronomaster, this is the flagship of Zenith, and it has been for many decades. And there's an excellent post on What You Seek I found. I'll leave a link down below. In fact, I'll put a little clip of it up here. A fantastic post just going over the history of this particular model, some of the advertising pictures, brochures, that kind of thing. Its progression from the earlier models to the present day. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I mean, I wish I would have seen this before I'd done the review, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I thought I'd add it as well, just in case you guys are interested in finding out more about this amazing timepiece. Now, another interesting thing is I actually did consider buying this timepiece for quite a long time. You guys know I was looking for a Moonphase. I settled on the Oris. I'm very, very satisfied. If anything, I'm even more satisfied now because I was stalking one of these Zeniths for a month or two on the eBay. I just couldn't afford it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch, but at the end of the day, it's it's not a watch that I'm going to be wearing so much to justify spending that much money. However, I think one day when I'm one day, when I've got a bit more money to spare, I probably will go for it. Having said that, they're becoming quite hard to find, and I do think the price is going to go up, especially as they've been replaced with a newer model. This one has a class that the new ones just don't have, and I have tried on the new Moonphase, the replacement for this one in Harrods, I think just after Christmas. What this one has is a charm, an old school charm that the new ones don't. Very difficult to put your finger on it, but it's the same kind of thing with like classic cars. It just has a kind of a romance, a charm to it that the new ones, I just don't feel the same. It's quite interesting. Anyway, guys, you might feel different. Let me know. And one last thing that is quite interesting. I didn't mention in the review, but this watch weighs 63 grams, right? My Saab, I think, weighs about 61 on a strap. So considering it has 11 complications and weighs, as much as a Saab, yeah, it's a little bit taller, but the weight, it's a very, very comfortable watch. It doesn't really mean anything, but it certainly lends for a more comfortable timepiece. Anyway, guys, without further ado, I don't want to rabbit on too much, but let's switch perspectives and have a closer look at this absolutely gorgeous watch from Zenith. Today, we are finally reviewing this stunning little Zenith El Primero Chronomaster calendar Moonphase automatic. Quite a mouthful, but certainly worth it. And this version is in steel. There are, I believe, a rose gold and a yellow gold version, and it comes in different dial variations, black and of course the silver dial, which is the one you see before you. Now, this watch is circa early 2000s. It has now been discontinued, and it is made by the Swiss luxury watchmaker Zenith. Now, Zenith are hugely important. The word zenith means the highest point, the highest celestial point, and is a perfect name for a company. Now, they were founded in 1865 in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. They are now owned by the Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy conglomerate. However, Zenith are still widely respected horologically, especially for the development of the 1969 El Primero caliber, which was one of the first automatic chronographs, and it operated at a staggering 36,000 alternations per hour, giving it a super smooth sweep and a greater positional accuracy. Quite an achievement, especially back in 1969. And of course, the El Primero name refers to Il Primo, the first one, and it really is beauty to behold. We have a lot of complications here. We have, actually, let's get the pencil in. We have the day of the week, we have the month, we have the seconds here, then we have minutes, and this is for the chronograph. 3 hands, of course, and this main second hand being for the chronograph. And then right down at the bottom, we have a 12-hour subdial, so it can record up to 12 hours. And as you see there, beautiful little glistening moon phase. We also have the date there and a tetrametric scale. And for a dress watch, very, very busy indeed, but you guys know I love that look. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the stainless steel version, and it comes on a beautiful crocodile strap with a lovely little signed buckle. There are versions with a stainless steel bracelet, but I gotta say, being a dress watch and something so classy, I do prefer it on a leather strap. And even me, with my penchant for NATO straps, I draw the line here. I mean, it's got Roman numerals on the dial and a moon phase, and that's where I draw the line. For me, putting this on a NATO strap would be like wearing I don't know, New Balances with a Savile Row suit. It just, I mean, you can do it, you can do whatever you want, but there's some rules I do abide by. It's just such an elegant, very refined looking watch, especially with this case design, which we'll get into in just a second. I do think you need to put it on a lovely crocodile or maybe a lizard grain or something a little bit more elegant to match the classy aesthetic of this watch. So let's talk a little bit about the movement, and let's get it in shot, because it really is something to behold. As you can see, it's hugely complicated. We got tons of decoration there. We've got lovely pelage work, blued screws. This is a 31 dual movement. This is the caliber 410Z. As you see by the rotor, it is fully automatic. You have got manual wind in there as well. If you guys saw the unboxing, it came with a certificate. This is actually chronometer certified. The new version, because this has now been discontinued and it's been replaced by a new Moonphase, is not chronometer certified. So a little bit more special than the newer versions. Also, the newer versions are a little bigger. This was made just before the advent of the big watch trend, and thankfully these days we're going back to more conservative, tasteful sizes. And I think actually I have seen the replacement for this. I think I saw it in Harrods actually, and I did remember thinking, yeah, it's a little bit too big. I prefer this size, certainly. They've also changed the case. Here we have very interesting double steps up to this beautiful domed sapphire. This is a cavetto, almost a Taurus style step. Reminds me of columns and kind of neoclassical architecture a little bit. And it's continued into the lugs. Unusually, we have drilled lug holes, which is something you see more on kind of tooly instrument watches. But it's a nice feature because it makes changing the straps out on this, which is something you will want to do, a little bit easier. We have the pushers for the chronograph at the side, and then of course the main crown, which is signed, and a really nice size. On this side, however, we got the 2 little pushers, and I don't have the key. Perhaps it's in the box, but you basically push this in. This changes the moon phase. As you see the moon phase changing, and the bottom one changes the day of the week, which you see there at the 11 o'clock position. To change the rest of the watch, you pull out the crown, you change the date there, little quick set date there at the 4:30. Quite unusually, the first stop is the main time, which is quite unusual, and we put it back in. The action to it is very, very particular, and you know, every watch you wind feels a little bit different, and this certainly is very, It's got a whole feel of its own. Most impressive of all is the smooth sweep of the chronograph. So let's engage it and see how it looks. And there off it goes. Look how smooth it is. It's like butter. We got those beautiful Dauphine hands, faceted hands, and they're curved ever so slightly just to hug that dial, which has a beautiful curve to it. It reminds me of looking at, you know, when you fly in a plane, you look out the window and you can almost see the curvature of the earth when you're really, really high up. That's what it looks like. And the dial is exquisite. We have some beautiful detail. Let me just get my pencil so I can point to it. These applied Roman numerals are done so well, and then in between we have these little faceted triangles and a very subtle sunburst effect on the silver dial, radiating outwards, bringing your eye inwards. Beautifully placed are the subdials. I love the glistening moon in gold, and then that beautiful sunburst effect on the blue as well. It really is a classy touch. And it's signed simply. We don't have the Zenith star logo. Not quite sure when they adopted that logo. Beautiful little framed day and month there. It's got the feel of a little bit of a racing watch in there, which is unusual, but the curves bring it back to more dressy, very much in the Art Deco style. Beautiful curves, and then of course high polish. I mean, there's no matted, it's all high polished. And then we have this screwed down case back with a nice broad big sapphire glass exhibition case back, which is what you want in a watch like this, because you really want to see that movement. I mean, there are so many layers to the movement. I almost kind of want to wear it the wrong way up just to stare at that. In fact, actually, let's stop the chronograph and see the movement in action. There we go, and I'm going to reset it. Beautiful. So it has a power reserve of 50 hours, which is quite impressive, and I believe over 350 parts, so it's incredibly complicated. And from what I understand, the 410 movement is one down from the 4000 series, which 4000 series is considered haute horology, although you're not going to have to pay the price tag of haute horology when you come to service this beauty. So we have 30 meters water resistance. Let's get a quick idea of its scale and dimensions. Now I must state there is sellotape on the calipers, so Sam, if you're watching, please don't panic. We have a diameter of just under 40 millimeters, quite tall at 15.3. Lug to lug we're looking at 46 millimeters, and then lug width we're looking at 20 millimeters, which is a really great size. I couldn't ask for a better size. It is tall, but guys, we've got to remember it has that beautiful movement in there and this lovely domed sapphire glass, so I'm willing to forgive it. However, as I'm going to show you now, it fits beautifully. And there we go. And on my wrist, couldn't ask for anything more. It is very elegant indeed. The way those dazzling little details play with the light really bring you into the dial, and you catch yourself looking at it all the time. It's just exquisite. Even the way the subdials are framed with this tiny little flicker of high polished steel there. It's very subtle, but it's engaging. It's very striking. The dial is just as ravishing as looking at the movement. It really is. So accuracy wise, of course, it's chronometer certified, so you really couldn't ask for more in an automatic timepiece. So in summary, well, I can't really think of any negatives. I would love it to be a tiny little bit thinner, just to be more of a dress watch. But, you know, with such a complicated watch, you know, with so many complications, you know, it really is asking a lot for it to be thinner. I almost don't want to say anything negative about it because it's such an endearing watch. It's so beautiful that I feel it's almost horological blasphemy just to be negative about it. It's gorgeous. Obviously, they've been discontinued, so you'll have to find them on the used market. I see them going from around about the 4,000 to 5,000 The prices do fluctuate, so depending on when you're watching this, could be a totally different price. However, I do think compared to, let's say, buying a brand new Speedmaster by Omega, this is certainly much more unique. And, you know, do I have to say it is absolute pure class? I mean, there is a class to this. It's that kind of old school class. It's got pedigree, it's got a heritage to it. It's something a watch fan is going to appreciate a lot more. You know, it's very understated as well. I would love to see this in a precious metal and see how that feels. I wonder if it would be even more classy, or would the precious metal take some of that understated elegance away? Who knows? I think you'd have to try it in the flesh to see. I think this is a watch that's certainly, it's the pinnacle of Sam's collection, definitely, and so fitting. Zenith, it is the zenith of his collection. I honestly can't find anything negative to say about it. The spacing, the placement of all the details on the dial, I think is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I really wouldn't. I struggle to think of something that I don't like. Everything complements each other so well. I think it's timeless. I think it's a watch that's going to be elegant for generations, and something you can definitely be very, very proud of. Anyway, guys, that's a look at the first Zenith on the channel. What are the Zenith to start off with? I mean, absolute pure class. Anyway, guys, let's take it back to the studio. Okay, welcome back, guys. So you probably notice I'm stalking another watch. Yes, I pulled the trigger on a vintage Seamaster. I'm not going to say any more than that. It was included in the video a few days ago, but I finally spent my e-bucks, so I'm stalking this. For some reason, it's stuck in Flushing. It hasn't moved for about 2 days. I think there's some kind of horological Bermuda Triangle in Flushing. It always seems to stay there. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will arrive, so I'm very, very excited. Anyway, thank you again to my good friend Sam. Opinions, thoughts, queries, questions, all the rest of it, please down below in the comments. Love hearing your feedback. Thank you very, very much for watching, and please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.